Welcome back to Me, I Am a Memoir, the meaning of Mariah Carey, the increasingly inaccurately named podcast that was once about Mariah Carey's memoir and now is about Mariah Carey and various other people.
Occasionally.
Occasionally we go into the regular verse. Last week we attempted to do so many meme moments that they just burst out of the podcast and could not be contained. So we've got more meme moments. They will continue now, and we are going to finally get around to hearing about Butterfly 25. That's why we're all here, because Mariah's got a new album that's an old album, but it's a new album.
It is.
Even though it's an old album.
Yeah, but not that old.
No, 25 minutes. 25 minutes on.
The Rolling Stone interview that goes for 2 hours.
Oh, I know.
Have you had a listen?
I'm not doing 2 hours. I can barely make the 4 minutes.
That's why we're here. You're
here to give me the rundown.
I'm going to posh explain.
And then when I finish work for the year, I can delve into it.
This is your Christmas holiday. This is Christmas Day. So, of course, Mariah brings up the corporate morgue.
She loves the morgue.
We learn that Vision of Love has just been cleared for use in someone's project. We're assuming it's Snoop Dogg. Because it's, she says, a rapper that used to listen to that in jail, and I think that was
right. Oh my God! If you want to see something hectic, someone posted in the work Slack today. It's from Reddit. Snoop Dogg on Wheel of Fortune, and it is hectic. He knows nothing, but he's having a really hot go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why wouldn't you? You're Snoop Dogg.
Just like seeing 3 letters on the board and just making up words and
Izzle.
And like everyone's like, what? Where did that come from?
Oh my God. I think I need
Martha
to watch
gets
this.
a mention.
Oh my God.
Anyway, Snoop Dogg moments are always fun.
Always. We also get some Diddy mentions. Ooh. And my favourite thing is Mariah keeps using different names for him,
God.
which I think is her very veiled attempt at shade to him. Remember that time you dated a regular person? Well, I don't remember
Puff
your name.
Daddy D Diddy. Well, I'll do your one that you say, because I can never say it.
P Puff. Oh, Sean P Puff Diddy Daddy.
Yes. I can never get it.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, I think she's punishing him for all the regularness by just not knowing his name.
Duty was here. Daddy. Zaddy.
P-O-O.
P-double-O.
Oh my God. Mariah is asked if Tommy was threatened by her doing more hip-hop oriented music, and Mariah says that he wasn't threatened by it when he was getting ideas from her, working with producers from records she liked, giving them jobs at Sony, and using certain ideas she may or may not have had.
Firecracker.
I didn't seem that threatened by all of that. Hey, own me much as you want to.
You can't be.
Bailey. We also touch on the 1996 Grammys and how disappointing it was to open the show and not get a single award.
Yeah.
She said it wasn't the biggest deal to her, but she did feel that One Sweet Day deserves something, as it was the song of the year and then the song of the decade. But at the after party, she actually got to hang out with some people her age. So getting snubbed at the scammies, as she calls them, was not as bad as going home, which is obviously we know what she's talking about, but I can't believe she called them the scammies. I was like, she's not gunning for any more.
Yeah, well, she doesn't have to care anymore.
No, she was like, the people who were there then are probably not there anymore. I survived. They didn't. She even says she didn't really expect to win that night because like often hits weren't winning back then.
Yeah.
And there may have been some annoyance around the perception of Mariah being married to Tommy.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that would have been a problem. No one wanted to vote for that.
But she did say she felt that it at least deserved Best Duet.
Oh, yeah.
Because looking at it, that was a big year. That was Jagged Little Pill. Yeah. I think even like R.I.P. Coolio. Yeah. I think Gangsta's Paradise was up there that year. Seal, Kiss from a Rose. Like, it was a big year. But definitely, like, that song was everywhere.
Everywhere, all the time. It was amazing. Time.
And, yeah, I agree. It deserves some bit of love.
Well, it made a lot of money.
Mariah also... that too. Mariah also wants to look into why the Rarities doesn't count as an album to the corporates.
Why?
So I reckon she's gotten back this... these certifications. She's got one more gold album or single until she is, I think, some other level.
Right.
Like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like she's one thing away from being the greatest ever.
Right.
Maybe behind Michael Jackson.
Oh, wow.
But that's it. Something like that. And it's technically a compilation album, so it doesn't necessarily count, but I think she's like, I just got the stats, and with that, I'd already be there.
I see.
So she's like, we need to look into that. We get a little bit of clarification around Walter Snuffleupagus.
Oh, my God.
So Mariah mentions him and says how it wasn't just the weirdness of the Tommy situation that drove them apart.
No, it was the knife in the kitchen, wasn't it?
Well, she says she wanted to... Wait, it's in here. She says she wanted to try new things and felt she was outgrowing that partnership anyway.
I said that. I said that they started to sound like they were doing the same thing over and over again.
She said, like, even with things like My All, she was very particular around... just this. She did say he was a genius when it came to certain types of music and he knew his classical really well. Like, she says there were moments where stuff happened in front of him and other people that just shouldn't have happened. She does say that Walter wasn't involved, but that basically they were making a lot of money off her and she deserved respect, and that those things would not happen today. When the interviewer clarified about the story in the book and how perhaps people could connect the dots, Mariah laughs and says the dots could go one way, the dots could go another way, in quotes, just to protect myself. Like, I don't want to get sued. Dots sometimes go in different directions, but other times they go exactly where you think they're going to go.
Yeah, they went exactly. Things happened in front of him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Knife. It was the knife.
Yeah, it had to be. Yeah. There will be a soundtrack moment with the film/TV adaptation of The Meaning of Mariah Carey. So it sounds like she's got 4 or 5 projects. Like, she literally starts breaking them down. So that's one.
Right. Is it?
So she's got the actual adaptation.
I hope they all go through and they don't end up like Paula Abdul and her Bratz Dolls movie.
Oh, that would be awful, wouldn't it? Oh, just heartbreaking.
Why does God forsaken me?
No, I don't think I've seen anything sadder in my life than Paula Abdul not getting the Bratz movie. She could have been doing costumes for them.
She was doing
choreography,
for the singing, dolls, and acting. She was doing it all.
We were texting about this off air, and I did let Fab know about the Kelly Clarkson Walk of Fame ceremony where Paula showed up halfway through, and then they just acknowledged that she's there because she was an Idol judge.
And she's also got a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
A star. They acknowledged Randy Jackson and Simon Cowell. Now, Simon was asked to... do a speech specifically, but when Paula's
heard her name
acknowledged, she just gets up and walks from the audience to the podium, and you can see the people behind them scrambling, going, I think she wants to say something.
She said trajectory 7 times to the point where that's my new drag king name, Chad Rectory.
Oh my God. She just kept talking about Bratz stars. It was very strange. And then she called Callie Jennifer Hudson at the end. It was very unfortunate. She's like, it was Idol one of them.
You just made everything, and things you haven't done yet are amazing. Okay, Paula.
Oh my God. Did you actually see it?
watched
Did you watch it after I told you? Oh my God. Like, I need to see this. Now, yeah, so Mariah has of course, the most likely is going to be a scripted series. With that will be a soundtrack moment.
Excellent.
She has another project. She's almost finished. It's just tweaking on some BVs. There's another project that could be for the adaptation or a documentary or something, which sounded somewhat connected to the Butterfly Lounge. Now, suddenly she's saying a documentary. So it seems that there could be some kind of Janet-style Netflix doco in the works.
I hope it's nothing like Halftime. Where we sit around and watch her not get an Oscar nomination.
It's devastating.
And then we find out she ran away from home and she was an 18-year-old adult.
If her and Batfleck ever divorce, she'll be running away from home. That's what it is.
Sorry to bring some regular into the Mimi moments. I do apologise.
People have been enjoying the regularness, which is hectic, but we love it. But yeah, we're thinking there could be some kind of doco, which I think would be fun because it's like you've got the scripted series, and Mariah has said she really wants to focus on the acting.
Yes.
Like whoever she gets doesn't have to be a great singer because, as Mariah says, I've already sung everything anyway, so I can just sing it again.
Just sing it again.
You know,
I mean, she re-sang The Roof. It's fine.
Exactly. She brought other people in, decided they weren't necessary. And she will let them out in 3 to 6 months.
Poor love trapped in the butterfly lounge.
She's waiting for some kind of like, what's that thing where it's like a crime that gets committed and there's a certain window?
The statute of limitations.
Right? Yeah, she's waiting for that to finish. There is a more specific but vast themed album. So it's specific and vast that people have been asking her to do. So this is the one that we're touching on.
The theme. I want to know what the theme is.
I know.
Because Glitter was a themed album.
True. I feel like everything
Maybe it's
was
Glitter
somehow
too.
Glitter Plus on telly.
The Glitter Plus channel.
Yes.
Or Mariah all the time.
And as I said, shopping around the footage of the Butterfly Lounge, which could be part of the documentary, so maybe that's what she's talking about. She also says that now she is her own record company, right? So unless it has something to do with the past, she can do anything. So she was basically saying, I can write whatever I want, I can do whatever I want. So I think it is safe to say that Mariah has parted ways with her record label.
Which was Sony again.
Probably after the book.
The corporate morgue.
Yeah, they're like, oh, well, if you don't like it. And to be honest, at this point, why the hell wouldn't you be independent? You're Mariah Carey. You've got a built-in audience. You're going to make most of your money through things like vinyl records, that kind of, the actual thing that the fans and the family want. I'd be like, absolutely. Like, yes, you have to pay more up front, but you end up paying for literally everything anyway at some point.
That's what Tina Arena did with her concert tour. She was like,
really?
Because she was just like, I end up spending all this money. Like, she gets the breakdown and she's like, all this money just disappears. And she's like, I could just hire those venues. Like, I've got enough money to hire that venue.
Exactly.
I've got enough money to do this publicity. Like, I can do all that.
Yeah. And, you could still hire a publicist if you needed it. Like, blah, blah. But basically you just own everything. Go, do that, Mariah. At this point, I start thinking, how are they going to cast this many Mariahs?
There's a lot of Mariahs to cast.
There's a lot of Mariahs.
They've already cast that one, Mimi, in the Christmas special.
The Christmas
special.
There to
be another
Little
Christmas
Mimi.
special. I love that so
I hope
much.
so. So we've got Little Mimi. Then we've got, Mariah around 12. And then they need Mariah at 12. And then probably like 12-year-old Mariah. And then current 12-year-old Mariah. So there's a lot
of Mariahs
to cast. There's a lot of 12-year-olds to find. So it'll
be like The Crown, where they cast a different Mariah for every
that's
every decade.
Legitimately what I hope that they do, because of the 4 sections of the book. I'm like, make each one a season.
Yeah.
So you can, like, I want that episode of Addie the Parmesan Nazi. Like, we need to, I want white grandma being racist in the West or wherever she is, the South, I don't know, the North. In Germany.
Germany. Sweden.
You know, praying by her bed. Like,
She was Irish, wasn't she?
All of it. So who knows? That's what I said. Isn't it Ireland and
That's
Germany?
why it's called Black Irish, because she's black and she's Irish.
No, I know that much.
What's in Germany or Sweden?
Where's Ace of Base from? I don't know. But someone's joking that, Yes, I think that's how they should do it, because then we get the full story. But if she does a doco at the same time, it sort of frees up the adaptation from having to be too exact.
Yes.
So they can really, get into the story of it, but also be alongside it is this documentary where Mariah talks about it. So I'm advocating for both. I'm Angel's advocating for both.
Angel's advocating. I've got to write her a letter and say now that it's platinum, can we get the album?
Yeah, come on. Handwritten.
Dear Mariah.
That's essentially what she's doing in that video that we'll get to later. Now, Mariah had heard someone making a joke that if it was them, that they'd just use CGI to play themselves. And Mariah thought that would be funny, but doubts that it would happen. But I'm like, I think we need that. It'd just be Mariah as she is playing 12.
Yeah. But the thing is, she would refuse to wear all the ping pong balls to do the CGI. So it would just be Mariah.
That did not go where I thought it was about to go.
It would just be Mariah with way too much makeup on.
We'd have the full we'd have the full Lacey Chabert treatment, and she'd be on her knees and still taller, and she'd still have heels on her knees and her feet. It'd be both. I think I know what I'm drawing for this week's image.
Mariah on her knees.
We touch on Chick.
Oh yes, I've been waiting for this whole episode. Yes. I'm sure everyone else is.
So we're doubling up on all sorts of things. So Rock asked Mariah why she would call herself someo's ugly daughter.
She's beautiful.
Why would you say that? Because you're
beautiful.
You're hashtag beautiful. Mariah does have the original vocals and is on a quest to find how it'll all get done. She thinks it will be heard, but she's said she's also working on another version, which we have talked about with the different artists that we're thinking is the Millie Bobby Brown,
who turned up in her recreation of Honey with them babies.
Wait, when was that? Have I forgotten this already?
It was on her Instagram. She recreated the opening scene.
I did see that, but I didn't click that Millie Bobby Brown was in there. Oh,
yeah, she and Mariah are cooking something up.
Yes. So I reckon that it might be like a double disc.
Yes.
Where it's like we're doing it now, but I'll also get out my OG. Yeah. Well, they could do a triple disc and have a triple disc here with Clarissa,
yes.
someone
who explains it all. That
Melissa Joan Hart. Yes, it's just Melissa Joan Hart singing. I am someone's ugly daughter. Mariah also touches on the beautiful ones and how years later, when she met Prince, he said he loathed covers.
Oh, I know. She was embarrassed.
And I think it's probably because he heard the new ones.
How very dare you. He loved it. He still wanted to work with her, and he would have heard it because they're going to run these things by you.
Now, like us, we find out that Mariah also goes between the two pronunciations of reprise.
Excellent.
So I think I used to say reprise.
She probably says prelude as well.
Probably. We touch a little bit on Sing Sing and how Mariah, had built that and paid for half of it herself. And she said, Sing Sing burned to the ground. I don't know how, but it did.
Oh my God. I don't know.
I was like,
but my mother lived not far away.
Yeah. Are you alluding to something? I don't know how that could have happened. Now, the podcast wraps up, but there's still 10 more minutes.
Oh, wow.
Right?
It's like the opening of one of our episodes. There's still 2 more hours, and they have barely started.
That was just the prelude. So at the end of the whole thing, Mariah, they include a story about Breakdown, the recording of Breakdown, where she mentions that midway during the story, she mentions that she needs an assistant. So I'm going to put us forward for that. But one of her assistants at the time not replacing the current assistant that she needs, but her assistant needs an assistant, to be clear.
Right.
One of her assistants at the time had a talent for creations with cannabis.
Oh.
So Mariah had a brownie and then forgot. So she went out to a restaurant, had a little wine, just a splash, darling. Someone came over for an autograph, but having never been high in public while famous, Mariah freaked out and was like, what is going on? And it's almost like she'd regressed to pre-fame. Oh. And she's like, why is this? Who are these people?
What is happening?
Coming up to
why
me?
do people want to speak to me?
Right? So she left the restaurant, got in the car and decided to listen to what they'd worked on that day, which was Breakdown. And her own fast singing freaked her out. And she was like, this is the worst thing that I've ever done. What was I thinking? Gets home, calls Q-Tip because she thought he might have an idea of what to do. And he basically calmed her down, told her to go to bed. And the next day she woke up like, this is great. I love this song. But I just love this image of like, I'm not famous. What is this awful song? Like,
amazing.
Lord.
I remember even at the time that album came out and she said about that song, she said the recording was very strange and it was a little bit crazy and it was very smoky in the studio.
Yes, because I think that had already happened.
Yes.
She did touch on, there was a separate thing, but then there was the restaurant moment.
Hilarious.
Now we've got some royalty.
Royalty?
The Meghan Markle
that's right.
Archetypes podcast. The episode is called The Duality of Diva, and they basically, like, it seems that the podcast breaks down certain things such as the word diva. Now, Mariah kind of rocks up for bits and pieces. She's not there for the whole thing. She touches on when she lived in the more predominantly white neighborhood. She did mention this in the book about not having a lot of clothes and that she would swap with her friends, but she specifically says she wore 3 shirts in rotation.
Oh my God, this is where all the hits and shirts.
This is why the shirts. Yes, the shits and the hurts. It all links back to, being a little kid with only 3 shirts. And so now her children have way more shirts.
They've got 3 shirts a day that they've got to get through.
Yes. I mean, that's a light day, really. They sort of relate about being mixed race and their hair journeys. And Mariah says that the word diva is both a compliment and a criticism.
Yeah.
Like that's how, depending on how it's being applied. She then reminds us all, but mainly Patricia, that Leontine Price is a fan of hers. Specifically of Mariah's. Meghan claims she doesn't play into the diva thing and Mariah is not having it. Mariah's like, you are a diva. And then Meghan's like, how dare you? Like, she's like taken aback. And Mariah's like, what is happening? I said it like a good thing. I said it in a good way, Meghan. Then Mariah is asked to summarise her little girl self in 3 words. She says there are too many words, so everyone should just buy the meaning of Mariah Carey.
You sell
she's
that
like,
book,
okay, fine.
Honey. You sell that book.
Fine. I guess I can come up with some. So she said lonely. I think she said sad, lonely, aspirational, but then added some extra words, which is eventually triumphant. Then today's words to sum up herself is exhausted, which I get it. Angry. I was like, Mariah's angry.
She's angry. Well, that woman is still
yet hopeful. That's it, yeah. Yet hopeful, but then also another word, faith. Like, so it's like, he said 3 words. I don't know math. He's 8. And the other thing is that Mariah, just in general, doesn't want to be one note because that's not festive.
It's not festive.
Not festive. Doesn't want to be basic because it ain't festive.
Bring everything now is Mariah's attitude.
Now, this is probably the part that everyone has been waiting for. Butterfly 25, specifically the actual songs on the actual album. So we know there's vinyls. Yes. We know there's bundles. Yes. There's merch. But it's like, let's look at the actual song. So a lot of the songs we already know. Yeah. We've
Butterfly
got
Whenever You Call Feet.
Yes. We've got Whenever You Call Feet, Brian McKnight.
Which is amazing.
Heaven. We've got The Roof Feet Brandy, which there's more on that to come. But we know that from Masterclass. Butterfly Live from Letterman, which I thought was a really strong performance. God. I was like, I get why they put this on there.
Amazing.
And I was like, how did they get that audio? Like, did she back then go, that was really good, you nailed that down? Or did they have to go, like knock, 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 Mr. Letterman.
David.
Yes, do you mind? Because the hero lies in you. I don't know if I said that today. It's not in everyone.
Her voice is incredible on that.
It's really. It sounded like a professional studio,
and it has turned up on her YouTube page, like the actual video. So they've obviously dug it out.
They've gone full legal on it. My All, of course, from the Divas
which
Live.
you know is my favourite. I love it so much.
Especially that remix at the end. We've got a couple of the acapellas. So listening to these, what was really interesting, a 4th of July acapella, it hasn't made it my favourite song, but I definitely liked it more without the production. I was like, this
and
is
how
good.
much of the song is built from vocals? I was like, this really... Not that much.
It doesn't really need... No.
There's not much instrumentation at all missing.
No, and what I then found with Outside, which I was really looking forward to Outside because I was like, the production wasn't my fave. Like, I liked the song, but it wasn't my fave production. But weirdly, I felt that this almost was the opposite, which is that as lovely as it is, there's a lot of melody within that production. Yes. So there were a few moments I was like, it's missing something. Yeah, so I was like, let's get... For Butterfly 26 minutes, let's merge somewhere in the middle, like stripped back production, but still with the melodic moments, if that makes sense.
Just go on. There's one on the album you can listen to.
Take out a little bit so I don't like. Just from the production. And of course, we've got the 2 remixes, which I thought, you know what, I'm going to touch on them here. I nearly put them in our remixes episode, but I was like, we'll give everyone a taste of the remix. So these are the only 2 that I've actually scored because they were totally new, if that makes sense. So the Butterfly Amorphous Club Anniversary 12
Club remix
25 minutes Club Amorphous. You get it. I really liked this. This went somewhere that I didn't expect for this song. Yep. It felt kind of timeless yet current. Like, I was vibing with it. How did you enjoy?
I don't love it more than the Morales version. One of which is...
I mean, you've had 25 minutes with that.
Which is the interlude on the album is one of the remixes. And there are longer versions of that. But it's great. I still really love it. It's, you know what I like about it? And this doesn't often happen. Like, sometimes when like Mariah has some remixes she's worked with and they're amazing, but every now and again a new one will come along. And I was wary of Amorphous, because some remixes tend to mix Mariah's voice.
Yeah, there was that Always Be My Baby moment
back in the
a couple of episodes ago. Do you remember that? But
her voice is front and center, and it's great. Yeah. It's not buried in the beats, and like it's.
I mean, Amorphous is family too. Yeah. I dug into Amorphous. Amorphous is family. Gets it. Knows what's going on.
But just it really like the vocals shine. There's the extra vocal, which is interesting. Like there's just a little bit of extra singing on top. But it's. And just using the original vocal is interesting, like, not using the dance mix vocal, which, you probably would have gone, oh, maybe I should. But, I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah, perfect. And then we have Honey with Another Taste of Honey, David Morales remix.
Heaven.
Now, I don't want to give too much away from the remixes episode, but my understanding that he's already done a remix.
Yeah, several.
And then this is his remix.
Yeah, this is just another.
But as in specifically of Honey.
Oh, yeah, no. So I know I've only sent you one version of everything, but when you get like a Mariah 12-inch, I mean, they're just CD singles, especially a David Morales one, sometimes there's like 8 or 9 remixes on it. And
different from the same DJ?
Yeah. Like 6 or 7 Morales remixes. Like there's some So there's, one of them will be, so every now and again he'll try and use the original vocals and do a remix on that. But more often than not, it's like she goes in, re-sings it, and there's like endless permutations of those.
And this was sort of a little bit of both?
Yeah, well, this is just basically like Honey, I've got, which I have on vinyl, and it has like about 30, like it's a double vinyl, the single. The single is a double vinyl, album size, like it's huge. So yeah, there are many versions of Honey, and this is just a brand new remix, obviously with new instrumentation. Like the arrangement's a little different, but yeah, it's so good. Did you love it?
So I think I might prefer the other one I heard. But I don't want to give too much away about that. So I really, I mean, to you, these are terrible scores, but they're high scores for me. So I've given 4.5 to the Butterfly Amorphous remix and 4.25 to Honey.
I love Honey.
Still...
I love that he's used the vocals that, from his remix. The string samples were new and I kind of liked those. That was an interesting addition.
And I will say that was a little confusing for me, having just heard the other one, but it's not in my bones. Yes. So I was like, what's happening? I'm confused. Did I take some pills?
It felt like hilariously disco, which I liked. And I love that it's, the other thing I love about it is that it goes for a blissfully divine 8 minutes. And I love a 12-minute 12-inch, and an 8-minute 12-inch is just as good. And down at the 5-minute mark when you go, just when you think, oh, maybe we've had enough of this song. When she's doing the wooing and the do-do-do-do-doing. There's some fun percussion moments, and I was like, oh, this is good. Like, just like changing it up just when you think it's going to get a bit, stayed.
That can be, and that's something with the remixes that we'll get to, definitely the ones of the longer ones, those were the ones I enjoyed more, where there was some kind of, I'm getting a bit tired of this. Oh, good.
It's like, we've got a whole new vibe. Like some of them, it's like, I'm getting a bit tired of, backing singers now. Cool. Where did they come from? Yeah. This is great fun.
Yeah. No one knows. They broke out. Brandy's may or may not be there. So, speaking of Brandy, The Roof has had a new video supposedly featuring Brandy, and that means
a Poshnopsis. A Poshnopsis. It's The Roof with Brandy, sort of, in the background, maybe, if you look carefully. Poshnopsis! Carefully.
I'm looking, but like my name's Claire.
I'm careful.
I'm very careful.
I'm very careful. Clareful. That's my new drag name.
Oh, she's a Clareful. That one. All right. So I don't know what's happening.
This podcast is unhinged.
My favourite part is you kind of disappeared into the background for a second there, so it looked like you just were invisible. Like, I'm gone.
I just became Mariah's butterfly.
Exactly. So Mariah signs autographs in the bathroom while other people press some buttons, and we get a close-up of some awards. Mariah, I'm literally just listing what happens. Mariah signs an autograph for her fan, Brandy, then goes and sings in her booth, with Brandy being regulated to the corner. Because literally all Mariah's shots are like really well lit and close up, and Brandy's like,
she's got the full lacy shit there.
Brandy sings a bit that didn't make it into the actual track, and then we get some clips from Masterclass of Mariah correcting her. There's literally moments of Brandy singing stuff that you do not hear. And so she just looks silly. We get more shots of awards and a shoe. Then Mariah plays with some hair. She plays with some hair that I'm not entirely convinced is hers. Are they connected? I think it's part of the hoodie. I don't know. Muttley and Cha-Cha try desperately to escape whatever is going on, as Mariah points to more parts that Brandy isn't allowed to do. Mariah models some pajamas and waves goodbye, but the song keeps going, so she has to do it a few more times, but from different angles. Brandy is allowed her contractual 13 seconds on camera, and legend has it, she's still in that booth.
I love that the microphone was placed in such a way that it could be anyone. It didn't have to be Brandy.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It might have just been a cardboard cutout. I have no idea.
Poor Brandy. But I could hear her. When I listened to it without looking at the video, I heard Brandy for the first time.
At the very end, after Mariah's got her pajamas on and has waved goodbye, I think they snuck Brandy.
There's a bit of her earlier, and there's another bit of her kind of halfway through. When she does a bit of
all over it as far as Mariah's concerned. You were all over this. It's almost too much.
Brandy.
Too much Brandy.
I hear her tone and it's not mine.
No. Although, I mean, all jokes aside, their tones do match at certain points where you're like, that could be either of them. Like, it's quite shocking.
I love that the whistle moment, which is not in the original song, when Mariah's gone.
Oh, I did wonder
Mariah's
about
gone,
that.
I'm going to have a whistle.
Yeah, she's like, there's too much brandy in this. I'm going to squeal.
I feel like Brandy could have just not turned up. But I do like hearing her when she's there. Like,
I mean, she was filming a movie, as we now know.
So Mariah had to sing all the vocals.
Exactly. With all of this talk of Butterfly 25, I was like, I'm putting out what I wish would be Daydream 27.
God, stop it with your Daydream.
Right. So, because that's where it would be. So this is what I'm thinking. So all the same merch, all of this stuff. The release would have the standard 12-track album, except for Underneath the Stars. And then the second disc.
I quite like Underneath the Stars.
I mean, well, you can have it on your edition. I'll print out one.
It was released as a single. I've got it.
Maybe we can do the a cappella version of Underneath the Stars. But then the second track or the second LP, whatever it is, the bonus tracks will have Fantasy Remix with ODB, the number one song of the decade, Slipping Away, and One Night from the Rarities. We will have acapellas of When I Saw You and Forever, because I feel like Forever doesn't need all of that nonsense.
Yeah, it's got that weird 50s kind of business going on.
And When I Saw You is just a belt from beginning to end. Long Ago, featuring all rappers. So I didn't know what rappers are current rappers.
Right.
So I was like, I will just allow all rappers on the Long Ago remix, because I think that song would lend itself to a rap.
You know who would be fun on Long Ago?
Who? Debat's grandma. I got too excited and couldn't say it. Grandma.
Long ago.
When I was alive. I don't know. It's happening. Who?
I was going to say Lil Nas X. He could come and have a go of Long Ago.
I did think of him, actually. Yes, we love a little Lil Nas X. And then they could get back for Mariah, the number one single of all time. Would have the Always Be My Baby remix with Debrat. The Big Energy remix, of course. Mariah reminder that was inspirational for that. And then end on Almost Home.
Which was not from anywhere near then.
I know, but it should totally be on every album. Almost Home 27.
This is ridiculous.
We just need Almost Home times 24
just
on
stop.
vinyl.
We are almost home.
We did it.
What an exhaustion. What fun.
Fun. Yeah, it was fun.
That was an enjoyable time. Now, you're making things happen, of course. Possible Prince X for pre-order, which is coming out in just like a couple of weeks, I think.
I know, it's crazy.
It's not far away.
Yeah.
I'm still working on Hard Quiz, so go and watch that on the ABC if you've got it. And also my other podcast, Adam Richard Has a Theory, will be back in any tick of the clock because there's a new episode of Doctor Who.
Yes. So, Jodie's last.
I know it's Jodie Whittaker's last episode. I'm very sad. So if you're into Doctor Who, I'll talk about that on my own. I don't have friends.
Yeah, I just couldn't.
No. Also, you don't want to watch.
You just couldn't.
You would only want to watch the episodes with Billy Piper and Kylie, and that would be
exactly right.
That's only a handful.
I think they're the only episodes I have watched.
Yeah, exactly. Why are they watching the Kylie episode again? Because the other one doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah.
You won't watch a new one.
It's very Mariah of me. It's a new episode, but it's not an episode, but it's new.
It's new. But yeah, we're going to take a little break now, and we'll be back in a few short weeks when we're going to be listening to some dance mixes.
Oh, yeah.
I have curated some dance mixes, a playlist of dance mixes, bearing in mind that Posh can't deal with anything that goes longer than 3 minutes.
Yeah.
I've thrown in several 12-minute
3 minutes
ones.
or 3 inches, which,
whatever he can fit. But there is a Spotify playlist if you want to listen along. So I'll pop that into the show notes. So if you want to click on that, if you want to pre-listen to my favourite dance mixes,
prelude of remixes.
When we come back, you can keep up with what we're talking about. That'll be probably in about 4 weeks, 5. I don't even know. I can't.
We don't know math.
I don't know what week it is this week, which is the problem.
No, me either. Basically, as soon as it's time, we'll be back.
We'll be back. Yep.
Mariah will say it's time, and we will just appear.
We will just appear because there will be many Mimi moments once it's time.
So many. We won't even get to the remixes. There'll be so many moments.
Yeah. All right. Bye, Emily.
Bye.